Hello and welcome to IBTimes TV. I'm Leanna Brinded, Business Editor for the International Business Times. Joining me now is Martin Doyle. He's the Head of Digital at Generation Media. So hi, thanks for joining us.
Not a problem.
Great, so we're in the very exciting sector of online gaming and mobile gaming. And it'll be great to get an idea of just how much this area has grown over the last few years.
I think in terms of a digital platform, it's one of the biggest areas of growth that we've seen. This is something, online gaming, something that maybe was considered teenage or maybe kids 10 years ago. Now it's something that everybody's playing. So mums are spending time every day playing games like Candy Crush, which is making £1 million every single day in the UK and 6 million worldwide. So it's really something that everybody's getting involved in.
Okay, and in terms of growth areas, you mentioned there the mums playing Candy Crush. Are there, I suppose certain demographics like in children, in terms of the types of games they play and how much take-up that has happened over the last few years? Well,
casual games have always been popular with kids, that's obvious, but what we've seen in the last few years is the penetration of hand-me-down phones. So kids, where in the past it might be 5 minutes on mum's or dad's phone, they're now having their own smartphones with connections to Wi-Fi, so they're always connected to these sort of games. So we're seeing dwell times on these kind of games amongst kids growing. The other area would be tablets. So there's a tablet in basically every UK home now, so kids have got access to that, and again that's another platform for them to interact with online games.
Well, as a media planning agency, I mean, you've seen the sector evolve, I suppose, over the last 2 decades or even longer than that. So in terms of companies looking to broaden their branding through mobile gaming or online gaming, how have you seen their budgets change?
I'd probably say even just 3 years ago, TV was king in the kids online space. In the past, it was probably around about 95% that was being allocated towards TV, with digital definitely an afterthought. We're seeing a huge shift over the last few years, so now 10 to 15% of our budgets are going directly into online, with online gaming being a huge part of that.
And are there any certain points, or I suppose you would say, boxes to tick when looking to place this kind of branding or advertising for a client in this area?
Absolutely, and the talk that I'm going to give today looks at 5 areas. So we're looking at understanding your audience. What sort of mood are they in when they're playing a game? If they're in the middle of a game of World of Warcraft, for example, we don't want to be popping up with ads for fast-moving consumer goods. We want to be interesting consumers when they're playing games like Candy Crush and simple game. Just use one off the top of my head from Spilled Games would be Flying Bananas 2, which in its very nature you can tell there is something that people are playing when they've got time. They're not really engaging with that game, so they're going to be more susceptible to your ad message.
Sure, and in terms of, I suppose, rounding off, I mean, the 2 areas that you mentioned World of Warcraft there, which is obviously a massive paid-for global phenomena, and then you've also got the glut of a lot of free online games or mobile games as well. Which would you say, a company would get more bang for their buck in terms of branding and advertising?
I think in terms of value, it's quite hard to say, but I think in terms of your consumer experience, I definitely lean towards the casual game. Again, if you imagine someone's playing World of Warcraft, that's a huge part of their life. It's something that's very important, and you don't really want to be the brand that interrupts. You know, as my boss always says, don't be the dad dancing at a wedding. Sometimes it's better to fit in than it is to stand out, and that might contradict some basic myths about advertising, if you like, but I think certainly you want to distract people, but you want to distract them at the right time, and you want to talk to them quietly. You don't want to butt in while they're playing something that's really important to them.
Great. Well, thank you very much for joining us today.
Not a problem. Thank you.
And that was Martin Doyle. He's Head of Digital at Generation Media.